The Six Flags chain is no stranger to being a topic of a video on this channel, and today is no exception. Six Flags currently owns 15 parks across North America, and today we'll be taking a look at what each individual park's next coaster will be. Six Flags is known for putting frequent additions into their parks, well, at least prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, but you guys know what I mean. Also, we don't entirely know the full effects that the pandemic will have on future additions for Six Flags. This video is all just for fun, because we really have no idea what sort of additions we'll be seeing from Six Flags in the future and when we could be seeing them. Another thing to note is I try to keep my predictions semi-realistic because Six Flags only buys coasters from a select few manufacturers with a select few models, so there may be a few repeats for some of the parks, but I did try to think out of the box for a few of these parks, because what's the fun in giving every single park an RMC Raptor or a 40 free spin, which unfortunately can feel like the reality of the Six Flags chain. But for this video, we're just going to be semi-realistic, but also some out-of-the-box thinking to make it a bit more fun. Before we hop into our list, I would really appreciate if you guys could all like the video. That's the easiest way to help the channel, and I'd really appreciate it. And for those of you who are new here, I'd really appreciate it if you guys could subscribe to the channel. I post lots of Six Flags and amusement park content, so if you like this sort of thing, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. Now for today's video, I'm going to try to run through the parks kind of quickly because it could take a long time. You could probably do a full video on every single park on this list for this specific topic, but I'm trying to run through them pretty quick and not mention too many other options that I came up with. So let's quit wasting time and jump right into our first park. We're going to be going from the largest parks to the smallest parks, so we're going to start it off with the one, the only, Six Flags Magic Mountain. This park is one of the more obvious picks of the bunch because we've already heard some leaked plans of an expanded Jersey Devil clone coming to the park in 2022, most likely at this point. It could get pushed back further, but that's what we've heard from the rumors thus far. We're expecting an expanded layout that'll probably break a lot of the records that Jersey Devil is going to set when it opens this year. I'm also fully expecting this coaster to be a bit taller than Jersey Devil and faster, longer, like I mentioned earlier, just so Six Flags can market it a lot easier. But overall, I think this coaster will fit quite well into an already stacked lineup of coasters at this park. Flipping the script all the way to the other side of the country, we have Six Flags Great Adventure going next on this list, and they will actually be getting Jersey Devil coaster this coming season, so that likely means we are a few years out from seeing their next major coaster. However, it's never too early to start speculating, and I predict that Six Flags Great Adventure will receive a dueling Premier Rides launch coaster similar to West Coast Racers at Six Flags Magic Mountain. This park only has one launch coaster with Kingda Ka, and this ride would be much different than what Kingda Ka has to offer. I also think they would make this a dueling coaster for marketability, and they could increase capacity as this park can get some big crowds. Another option I consider was an SNS air launch coaster, but that's sort of similar to what Kingda Ka does, so it'd kind of be irrelevant adding this to that park. But I think a Premier Rides launch coaster would fit very well at Six Flags Great Adventure. Next up, we have Six Flags Great America, and my current prediction for this park is a little bit dicey because I'm not really quite sure what their future plans could be, but I decided to go with an American Eagle Titan track redo, if that counts as a coaster to you guys. I predicted it'd be a major redo, so it wouldn't just be a few sections of track getting retracked. I think we get new trains, a new theme, and just an overall new kind of Six Flags vibe to the ride. I've heard this ride has been rumored to be removed or RMC'd, but I don't think this ride will get RMC'd because Goliath at this park is an RMC topper track wooden coaster, and that already provides a very similar experience to what this as an RMC would provide, so I'm not really sure if Six Flags will want to do that. So I think some form of Titan track redo could be in line for this coaster. However, if this doesn't happen, I think Six Flags give them something completely new that we haven't seen in the chain for a long time. Maybe an SNS Access coaster could be in line for this park, but I don't really think it would. It's kind of a smaller ride, and I don't think it'd fit the capacity needs of this park, but it's Six Flags, so who knows what they would do. But if American Eagle doesn't get RMC'd or get the Titan track treatment, I'd look for Six Flags to go to a different route with this park. Heading down south to Six Flags Fiesta, Texas, my prediction for this park's next coaster is actually an S&S Access coaster. This park was the first in the chain to receive an S&S 40 free spin and an RMC Raptor, so why not be the first to receive an S&S Access coaster? There's nothing quite like it really anywhere, but even inside the park, the only launch coaster they have is Poltergeist, which is completely different to what the Access coaster would be, so that'd be a good fit for the park. But overall, Six Flags Fiesta Texas has almost been sort of a testing ground for Six Flags, and I expect that to continue with the addition of an S&S Access coaster coming in the next few years. Heading to Six Flags' other park in the Lone Star State, we have Six Flags over Texas. They're actually getting Aquaman in 2022, so they're kind of booked up for the next couple of years, so I don't expect anything to come to them in the next few years, which is very unfortunate considering that Aquaman isn't the biggest addition for the park ever, but it is what it is. However, I do think their next coaster will be a big one whenever they get it. So I'm going to be predicting S&S Air Launch Coaster to come to this park. I know this park does have Mr. Freeze, but this ride is definitely a more technologically newer coaster, so definitely be a different experience. Also, Mr. Freeze has a different focus than an Air Launch Coaster would, because Mr. Freeze focuses on going backwards at some point, while an Air Launch Coaster just be pure speed for a short period of time. Next up, we have Six Flags Mexico, and I think they'll be receiving a small RMC Raptor, very similar to what we've seen at Six Flags Fiesta Texas with Wonder Woman Golden Lasso of Truth. I think this coaster would be an excellent fit for the park. It gives them a great top 3 with Medusa Steel Coaster and Superman El Ultimo Escape. And this park has also been getting loaded up with the classic Six Flags rides like 40 free spins and most recently a Zamperla Giant Discovery. So overall, I think an RMC Raptor would be an excellent fit for Six Flags Mexico. Six Flags has given this park some good additions over the past few years, and I expect that to continue with the giant population center this park is surrounded by. Next up on our list is Six Flags Aurora, Georgia, and I'm predicting them to get a Mach Power Splash within the next few years. Six Flags actually was teasing a water edition at this park, but that never really amounted to anything. Maybe it was just a commercial and there's no real higher meaning to it. However, I do believe this to be a very legitimate possibility because Six Flags over Texas seems to get a lot of the same additions that Six Flags over Georgia gets, or vice versa for this situation. So if Aquaman goes over well, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Mach Power Splash come to Six Flags over Georgia or another park in the chain. Also, Six Flags over Georgia just recently had a few water rides get removed, so it would make a lot of sense to add a water coaster to this park to fill that gap. Next up, we have Six Flags New England. I'm predicting them to get an S&S Air Launch Coaster. Six Flags New England does not have anything like this in their lineup, so I think this would be a great fit for them. This would be a great coaster to support the already great 1-2 punch that this park has with Superman the Ride and Wicked Cyclone. This would provide something completely different from anything at the park and would be different enough from Phobia Fear Coaster to be able to be used in New England marketing schemes. Overall, a launch coaster coming to Six Flags New England has been a long time coming, and I think it'd be a great addition for the park. Next up, we have Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, and my prediction for them is an S&S Access coaster. This park was supposed to get Sidewinder Safari, but I don't really know if that got delayed or just canceled as a whole. Beyond that, I see them getting an S&S Access coaster as their next coaster. Six Flags has loaded this park up with a bunch of their favorites, like an RMC, an S&S 40 free spin, and some Zamperlas. I think an Access coaster would provide another compact, thrilling coaster that this park could use since they're fairly tight on space, so overall it would be a great fit for this park. Next up, we have Six Flags St. Louis, and for this park I chose a little more of a fun prediction, and my prediction for this park is actually a new Vekoma will be their next coaster. I know Six Flags hasn't worked with Vekoma in a long time, but I think this could be a really good fit. I think something like a Let Coaster would be a really good fit for this park. It would check a lot of the boxes they're looking to fill: a thrilling ride, good airtime, inversions, and it could fill a lot of holes in their lineup with just one coaster. Now, I'm not entirely sure if Six Flags will be actually willing to do this, but I would really like to see it. I think it'd be more of a fun prediction than just getting them like a 40 free spin or something dumb like that. So yeah, new Vekoma goes to St. Louis. Next up, we have Six Flags America, and my prediction for them is actually a Titan Track or RMC redo of their GCI wooden coaster Roar. I think the Titan track could definitely work on this coaster since this is a GCI and GCI is already familiar with it, so they could do something fun with it. Or RMC would work as well, because the other Roar at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom got RMC'd and that went over fairly well. So all those options are really on the table. They could also put like a launch coaster in or maybe a 40 free spin in, but I don't really think it would help boost their lineup that much. Like, how much would a free spin really help this park? Six Flags has been putting some more money into this park as of late, which is great to see, and I hope this continues with a nice big new coaster coming soon. The next park we're going to be talking about is my home park, Six Flags Darien Lake, and this one's pretty interesting. I would like to say RMC Predator, but we're hearing rumors of the Titan track redo happening on that coaster, and now I'm hearing rumors that that project could be possibly off, so I'm going to hold off on that coaster for now. I don't really know what's going to happen with it. I'll just keep my eyes on it. But my actual prediction is going to be an SNS 40 free spin will be the park's next coaster. This is unfortunate because Darien Lake's kind of in need of another really good coaster to help round out their lineup, but I think this is what Six Flags realistically would give to this park. I don't really see them putting in a big launch coaster in it at this point. It's a possibility, but I highly doubt it. But Six Flags only operated the park for a few years now, so we don't really know what they're going to do with it. So all options are really still on the table. The next park we're going to be doing is Ronde. They're supposed to be getting V-Pair in 2021, so I think that'll hold them over for a little while, but they've actually been getting some decent additions over the past few years, so I think they'll get something in a reasonable amount of time. But my prediction for them is a Mach Power Splash or a new family coaster from somebody like a Zamperla. I feel like a Mach Power Splash would be a good fit for this park because you don't really have much of a water park to my knowledge, so I think it'd be good to have another water ride at that park to help increase the number of water attractions the park actually have. And I think a family coaster would also be a nice fit here. Maybe a launched moto coaster style ride would be nice here, but I'm not really expecting an RMC to come here because RMC can't really work in Canada, and I don't really think Six Flags would RMC Le Monster or give this park a Raptor, so yeah. Ronde, Mach Power Splash, or a family coaster. Next up, we have Frontier City. This one I find a bit more interesting because Frontier City is actually getting a big land clearing going on currently, so I don't know what that could mean, but I really don't expect it to be a big coaster because this is a family park and I wouldn't expect anything major to come to it. However, I do think we could see something like a Zamperla Wild Mouse at this park. I think that would be a good fit for their style of attractions, or another Zamperla family coaster would also fit here as well. So it looks like Frontier City could be receiving a family coaster in the fairly near future. Lastly, we have Great Escape, and I don't really expect anything to come here, unfortunately. Maybe we could see a relocation come to this park because there has been talks of the Six Flags ride relocation program returning to the chain, so that could actually benefit this park, but I don't really expect anything big to come here. I could maybe see a prototype family coaster being in the cards for this park, but I don't really know. I don't think they're going to get anything ground up. All their coasters seem to be relocations, at least the bigger ones, most of them, so it's really anyone's guess. That concludes my prediction for what I think each park in the Six Flags chain will get for their next coaster. Make sure to drop your predictions down in the comments below. Tell me if I got them right or if I got them wrong, or is anything I blatantly missed. Just feel free to tell me it. I didn't really make any timetable predictions for any of these coasters because we really have no idea when Six Flags will restart putting in frequent additions to these parks. But like I said, make sure to drop a comment on your predictions on what you think could be coming to each park, even if just one of these parks, that's fine. I always appreciate the feedback. Now, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, it really helped me out if you didn't already, and subscribe to the channel for more Six Flags content coming soon. If you made it to this point in the video, I really appreciate you. This was another long one, so it definitely means a lot to me you guys make it all the way through. But with all that being said, guys, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.